Productions. Tonight we're at the garage of Mike Bruce, and we're gonna work with him tonight here, and we're gonna go shopping. So come along. Let's talk a little bit about starting the season. We talked about we were talking earlier about your confidence and stuff. What do you got to do now to get the confidence level up there?
I think I'm at confidence level. You might have me right there. I think my confidence level is there realistically. A little more track time, seat time, I guess. You know, it's after the classic run. My confidence is there. I told Bobby that I was ready to go win a feature this weekend. That's how where my confidence is. So the car was really good at Classic, and I watched the Crazy 8 there do it, and there's no reason why we can't go out and win this weekend. So that's my confidence level on it. But I just gotta learn the car a little bit more. There's things, in a perfect scenario we could go out and win a race, tomorrow. But there's still stuff that I need to learn as a driver that's with super modified, so I can get better feedback to Bobby and stuff when we're working in the car and the shot or the track stuff. So scenarios like that, but my confidence is there to be able to go out and win races.
Well, it's been done. I mean, these guys, you've seen them, like you're talking the Crazy 8. They start second race, Allison slowed, second race at Oswego, and she pulls off a win. So it can be done.
So, that night, I ended up making it after I hopped in the 350, I ran the 350 feature, I hopped in the SBS, I ran the SBS feature, and this was the one time in my life I said, hey, I really appreciate you guys letting me drive your car, but I'm headed to the tower. And Carly and I ran across, and we went up to the tower to watch the super modified race. So, because that was just one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to watch the race from the tower. That's what, we bought the passes and everything, so I said, so we're going. So Carly and I went up on the Skycap and watched it.
And it worked out.
Yep. And then just kind of grew from there. So, like I said, I didn't know who to have out here, who didn't have it out here.
We're putting in on this thing a week. Is it every night? You get a night off to take your girlfriend out to dinner? Or?
Yeah. I got a honey-do list at home that has been being put off since we got back from Florida, probably. So I slacked this week. I didn't slack. I worked a lot this week, and so I didn't get the hours out here that I typically would. But from the time that we came home from Florida in March, February, whatever it was, till this week, this off week, I've been out here. I don't want to say nonstop, but damn close to it, Occasionally, maybe once a week if I'm lucky, I'll take a night off. But Bobby typically works nights, so he comes here. I get out of work, I come here till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Bobby shows up at 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we work on the car, just him and I, till 2, 3 in the morning. A lot of nights, the night that we wrecked, we were here for 3, 4 nights till 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I was getting home, so the night before the second race or opening day, I don't remember what it was. I walked in the house at 4:30 or so in the morning, and Carly was like, what the hell are you going to do? You got to get up in a couple hours to run a big block super modified. I was like, well, if I didn't stay up, we weren't going to be running the big block super modified. So what do you want, When we met Rich, I was enjoying a day off. I was racing the 350 for Craig Soper, and I've never had the ability to be able to afford to get up in the tower. So I told Carlos, let's go to an off weekend at 350. I didn't have my SBSs or nothing, so I said, let's go to the tower tonight. I said, we'll go sit in the AC and watch the race. I've never been able to watch a race from up there. And so we went and we bought our tower passes, and we were walking through the pits, before the races. And Tim Glidden owned this car originally, and he hurt his back. And Dan Denny says, hey, did you bring your suit? And I said no, and he's like, well, you want to hop in this car? And Tim Glidden was sweaty, and he had no fire safe underneath. It was just all hairy, wet chest, and he stripped his suit off, and I got in it, and it was soaked. So it was the nastiest thing ever. And we hopped in the car. So we ran the car that night. Rich was a very big part of their racing with his J&S paving, him and his little kid. And I initially took to his son, Robbie the Wrench. He was not much bigger than your oldest there. He was a small kid, and I watched him. He put the tires on, and he put the lug nuts on correctly. And that's when I caught to the eyes. I said, "Hey, who taught you that?" And he said, "Whoever at the time." But the kid was just busting his tail, and I took to him, and we started winning some heat races. Back, I don't remember what year it was, 2018 maybe. Won some heat races, got some podium finishes, and that's when we started the double duty thing. And I wish we would have never done that. But I was running the 350 for Soper, that Soper and I partnered on, and then I was racing the 04 SBS for Tim and Jody. Then the end of the year, Rich and I had a very good relationship, and he wanted to keep going. That's when he got his fever, and he bought the 04 car from Tim and Jody. And then I took him to Star with us, and with the 350 when we went to Star, and then a couple weeks later he was bringing home his first 350 for Cameron to drive, the hot car, and Dan Denny was eager, everybody's kind of excited. It was the new class and stuff like that, so they all jumped on board. But then from there, it was just kind of, he loves racing. He loves race cars. He wished he could own every single race car. So we've kind of bought, they bought that one, the Bonner 350. We bought a TQ, me, him, and Dan Denny split the TQ, thirds. We bought that. Hopefully we get to run that. But so we bought that, and then this was kind of, he told me one day, we were cooking out at his house, and he says, "We're going to have a Super soon." And I went, "No, we ain't. We're not, you're crazy, but we're not that crazy." And sure as shit, here we are. So, it's between Rich and his kid Robbie the Wrench. The kid's bust his tail, so he's going to hop into the 04. We're going to take him up to Evans Mills and get him some seat time in the 04 car. Rich is talking about him maybe possibly running a Oswego next year. The kid wants to. We got a lot on our plate, so we have to figure all that out still, but
he's running a cart now, right? Is he running a cart right now out back?
That's where they're at right now. I was up to the kart track. They were working late. They did a bunch of patching up to the speedway. So that's how I met Rich, was just randomly walking through the pits one night and jumped into another man's sweaty, wet fire suit. And
I wish there was more of them. That's all. I wish we did more Richworths.
Yeah.
I wish there was 50 of them up at the track. It would be great.
It would be. I'm definitely pretty lucky. Him and I have a ton of money into the Super. I mean, the Supers aren't cheap in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that random guy that didn't know me for squat, besides a couple years ago, is investing that into me. You know what I mean? That means a lot. So that's pretty cool that we have that relationship. And he was just sitting here last night joking, "Well, what car are we going to buy this summer?"
Yeah.
And I could have punched him in the mouth. Nothing. We ain't buying nothing this year, So I had a lot of stuff. I've been racing for quite a few years, so I had a lot of my own stuff and I know how to run my program. I know how I like to run my stuff, everything of the sort. So him coming in here with me is just added excitement. He likes his pictures. He takes a bazillion pictures. We bust on him all the time for that, but it's cool having all the pictures and stuff like that to go down, down the road.
Sure.
So we're excited for all that, but so that's how I met him. I love when people boo. I laughed my ass off at Classic. I was right in front of, or right behind Otto, and I'm walking to my car, and they say his name, and I just hear the whole grandstand just start booing the guy, and I couldn't help but laugh. I thought that was hysterical. Booing us drivers like that is fire to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it is now. When it's a wrecked car and you're booing, that's, hey, you need to get punched in the mouth.
Right.
That's my answer to that question, That's just how I am. But booing me when I go across the podium or victory lane or something like that, I'm all for it.
Well, when you win too much, they'll boo you.
Oh, yeah.
You wreck other people, they'll boo you. But they booed the nicest people that ever raced because they won too much.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't take it personal. But I always say, the guy in the bleachers, he paid for his ticket. He can do whatever he wants. If he wants to boo or whatever, you don't be disrespectful. If somebody gets hurt, that's a different thing.
Yeah, the wreck thing is my own.
Yeah, you don't cheer for someone that's in a bad wreck and hurt. But as long as the person's okay, then whatever. Some people go to watch wrecks. Oh yeah, which is crazy. This
guy that I'm working with, he called me today. He says, "You racing this weekend?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, well, hopefully you don't do what you did a couple weekends ago and said, yeah, hopefully not. He's like, that's the only reason I go and watch races. He says they're actually the best part.
Yeah.
And it's not, he doesn't understand it, you know what I mean? It's not something
They
you
just
wanna
think it's
hear people-
exciting.
Yeah, yep. And then that's definitely the case. When I was a kid, you definitely, you know what
Sparks.
I mean?
People love sparks
it's all
and-
cool stuff.
Yeah. But when you've been there and you've been in the cockpit and you own it and you work on it, you start thinking, I don't like wrecks anymore. I don't like to see people wreck, even when you're watching it on TV.
A bunch of
You don't
people,
wanna see it.
I've heard some rumors, you know how sweet those rumors are, but I heard some rumors the other day of wait till Mikey starts running the super modified like he did his SPS. I'm not an idiot, you know what I mean? That's where it comes down to it is I don't just show up in my helmet. I'm here all the time working on my stuff, you know. I'm not gonna, you know what you can run and what you can't run. You can't put the bump to people like that. The SBS class is built off of that. You know what I mean? That's in my opinion.
To pass, sometimes you have to move people out of the way.
Yeah, it's all part of it, you know. So it's a different scenario. You know, it's a different scenario in that aspect. So I don't let any of that stuff bother me. I really don't. I thrash on my race cars and I bring my friends to the track and that's it.
What do you think about this tonight, getting interviewed while you're working on the car? Did you think anyone would ever want to come out here and videotape you while you're playing in the garage and working on your stuff?
No, probably not. I mean, probably not. Realistically, there's people that have had far more success, you know, like obviously maybe out of his shop or Mikey Barnes, you know, stuff like that. But it's a cool thing to be able to, one, get my story out there, you know, when he brings the camera over here and gets all my beautiful sponsors on the car, you know, gets our sponsors out there. It's fun kind of get our story out there and see what the chaos of a race life is. You know, you guys could follow us around 7 days a week. You could be here and you could have a 24-hour movie.
There would be a great series
Yeah.
on MAV TV for super modifieds. It would be a great show
for racer
Sligo
lives,
Speedway.
you know, and
Sure.
you could get the out of life and at the racetrack life and you know you'd have tons of followers and footage and all sorts of you know money making I'm sure. So
How much farther are you going? Super modifieds the pinnacle, or
yeah, probably. So
you're happy? This is.
yeah.
I mean, what better?
When we were young, obviously younger, I want to go NASCAR. I want to have NASCAR modifieds. I want to, you know, everybody, that was our dream. But to run the big block is you know top tier. And I said it. You know, I don't know that I'll run this for the rest of my career racing. You know what I mean? It's not so much as the finance. It's really not as bad as I thought it was going to be once the car and everything's bought. But just the time that goes into this, it's just an endless job. And you don't have much time to do other stuff. And you don't have time to do much time to do other stuff. And the older I get, the more there's other stuff you want to do. So we'll run it for this year, see how it goes. I say it. I've been saying I'm going to retire for the last 5 years and be done racing, you know, full time. But I show up there every year with another car and more races. So yeah, we got some good sponsors behind us, and if I could find that ride in an asphalt modified, I absolutely would, and I know that I'd have sponsors behind me to be able to do it. You know, if we had that opportunity. I don't know the right people and the right names, you know, but I'd like to try something in dirt. I'd like to get a car into a team that somebody has knowledge with setup and stuff like that, where I could almost be a helmet carrier to some extent for a dirt ride for Oswego, for the Classic, or for the Dirt Week. I think that would be sweet to have an opportunity with something like that. But yeah, I mean, how much further can you go than a big block super modified at Oswego Speedway?
Right.
Realistically, so there's not much better.
Hey, it's all a local kid could ever dream
Oh,
to
yeah.
do. When I was a little kid, like you're saying, that's all I ever wanted to do was race a super modified.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, my dad was friends with Jim Champagne and took us to Kempton Gates' house. I worn Conium back in his camper into our driveway once in a blue moon, you know, for drop off a part or something. And these guys were just legends and heroes of ours and like superheroes with fire suits.
Yeah.
So to to get to a super modified, to me, I was like, hey, I was the man, you
Yeah.
know. So
And that's just it, you know. It's my father and I. He was always working on Jeff Albrecht's car, and I saw him down in Victory Lane when Jeff won his races, and I was just a little shit in the stands at the time, you know, and didn't ever even have any idea of racing or didn't even know what it was about really, you know. So when we got into the SBS, I still remember our first week walking across the track, me and my father. You know, that was cool as it was. So to have that and then to be here where we are right now, it's like I'm pretty content with my racing. I don't want to say I'm content with my race career. I want to be the next Iowa City. I want to win races and championships. But as far as the division that I'm in, it don't get any better than
right, the lights up there on a Saturday night, the
Yep.
fans come in afterwards. It's fantastic.
We love Oswego Speedway. I got a love-hate relationship with Oswego Speedway. I always have for 10 years. We all do, you know. But we love it. We love the fans. We got a really good following right now with a lot of people. We've met a lot of new people in the last year and a half, 2 years, and all my sponsors. You know, my Woodchuck Saloon. They've been with me for 11 years. J&S Paving, obviously, he's partnered up in the car with me. And we picked up a couple other sponsors. Front Door Taverns came onto the car this year. Canales Insurance came onto the car this year. My buddy Tim Bowman, their business came on. Senior Services Insurance Company, they came on. So we landed a bunch of sponsors. People like excitement, you know, and if you create the excitement and you post on your social media, you know, money follows money, and the excitement is what gets people coming in. So we've been having a lot of fun with it for sure.
Well, Race Day Productions, we appreciate you letting us come out here. It's pretty cool. It's been, I mean, we've been trying. We finally got you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad. It was
Yeah.
great talking with you.
Yeah.
I could do this every night of the week. I
Yeah.
could come out here and videotape this and watch people, but that's what we grew up doing.
We're here just about every night of the week.
Yeah.
So.
You have to be. Yeah.
It's been wild. It's been a learning curve. I think is the best way to kind of put it. You know, it's just the hours that you put into them. And there's never enough hours. You can always be doing something more. You can always be changing this, trying that. That's what we're gonna start shooting for. Is now that we got the car underneath us, is start going and utilizing some Fast Friday sessions at the Speedway and making some changes, seeing where we can get our car better and get me better as a driver, so that we can.
Well, we're gonna be in your.
Start passing drivers.
We're gonna be in your mug tomorrow night too. We'll be up there watching you.
Yeah.
Watching you at the Big O. It'll be awesome, man.
He's got him and I had the same exact car.
Okay.
Now this was Sean Goslin's car, and then before that it was Timmy Snyder's, right? Is that the history of it?
Yeah, I don't know what else in between any of that. You know, who owned it, if anybody owned it in between Snyder and Goslin, or if they bought it there or whatever. But we really got a good deal on the car. I mean, we got to, when we bought it, it was kind of the hardest part of super modified racing is getting started, right? You know, the tires are affordable and stuff like that. It's the expense of getting the screwdriver again. It's expensive getting the car and getting a good engine and stuff like that. That's where the expenses come for the car. So I had this body mint before opening week.
Who does your lettering?
We've kind of bounced around over the years, but Luther's been our main guy.
Okay.
He does a lot of our work. So Rich is very good about no different than me. If we can work construction and exchange for vinyl. So Rich paved Luther's driveway. He's vinyled up all of our race cars. So it's one hand washing the other.
That's a lot of motorsports is bartering.
Yeah, yep. That's how a lot of people are able to do it, you know. So
Now, business-wise, how are things for you business-wise? I hear they're really good, aren't they?
oh yeah, I've been lucky with my gigs that I got going and some other work that I do. I've been swamped, so we haven't been able to keep up. And same as everything, if I could find enough people that were trustworthy, you know, you could hire on more crews probably, but nobody cares about your business like you care about your business.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it doesn't matter what business it is, it's always going to be that way. I typically put the panels on from the back to the front. I don't know why I'm doing it differently today, but
Because we're here and we're fucking up
you
what
guys
we
are
do.
watching what I'm doing. So, would never put panels on from the front to the back. It's the dumbest thing that I could do.
Just gotta make sure your overlaps are right, that's all.
Yep.
What's your plans with the 350 other than the Swego? Are you gonna try to hit any out of town shows?
We had a ton of fun at Star last year. You know, we were going out to Star every week that they ran the 350s out there last year, you know, driving out there. So that was super cool. We learned a ton, and I learned a ton as a driver. I've said that 100 times because them guys out there have been doing it for a while, and they don't mess around out there, you know.
Yeah,
So
they showed it here.
yeah, they don't, you know. When I saw the 14 go to the outside of me on the first lap, I was like, shit. I knew he was going to do that. Like, you don't hesitate, you know, he's gone. The 21, he was underneath me. We were going 3-4 wide down the front straight, and I'm like, I just lost all these spots because I wasn't as balls to the wall as they were, you know. And so running out there with them, I learned a ton about, you know, racing and everything and in general out there with them. So if we can go out there at the end of the year, we'll definitely do that. We have cars still raceable. We'll go out there. We had practice last week. This bolt right here, grade 8 bolt, snapped right in half.
Yeah.
In practice, I was out on the track, and the rear end came up and smashed, and almost sent me into the wall 2 days before the class Friday there, and bent off all my panels. I hate an ugly body, and this is the ugliest body I've ever had. Now.
Now, that other 350, was that a complete loss?
The parts that we were able to sell were just sitting in those two toes.
That's what I thought.
If I'm being honest with you. So,
Yeah, no.
the chassis, Rich is confident that he might be able to fix it. I considered it a loss. I mean, I don't, you know, if you're gonna have somebody fix it, you gotta have the guy that built the damn car fix it. You know, there's a bunch of people that can probably fix it, but I'm not that kind of guy. If Hawksby built that car, Hawksby's the one that should be fixing it. You put it on the table and make sure it's right. Otherwise, there ain't no point in doing it if you're not doing it 100%, you know?
Right.
So that's my opinion on it, but yeah, there ain't really a lot.
Where is it? Is it out at Rich's or?
No, it's sitting right out back.
Yeah.
The back door and just sitting in the grass pile right now. But a big part of my first 2 wrecks was trying to save the car.
Yeah.
Like with our SPS cars, it's like I told my brother that you can hop on the hammer in one of those and steer out of the car and it'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
90% of the time, and you don't do that with the big blocks.
Well, it's just such a difference with having all that weight right over on the left side, 70% basically, you know?
Is that what the number is?
68, 69, what is it, 68%, 69%?
I said 67.
67%? Yeah, I don't know if they've changed that. I think it was 67 back 20 years ago when I raced, but probably hasn't changed much, so I don't know how much more you can put over there. People have tried, I don't know if it does what they want it to do. That might be the magic number. What do you tell yourself after you have these wrecks? You know, if you're gonna go fast, you can't go out there and think about that. You just gotta put that behind you and just go out and run.
Yeah, I don't. So the 350 isn't really anything bother to me. The big block is a little bit different because financially, you know, if our team, if I was to destroy this car, we'd be sitting out a couple of weeks. You know, that's just the truth of the story on that one. You know, so you kind of. I don't want to say. I told Bobby the first couple of weeks that I was driving this car with my wallet after that first wreck because I was so hesitant about wrecking this car or something of that sort, or having somebody else wreck my car. That I was kind of, I don't want to say being a candy ass, but kind of being a candy ass with it to some extent. But after last weekend's confidence booster in the Classic, the car handles a lot better. It's underneath me now, so I'm pretty confident in what it'll do.
Well, you can't, if you want to go fast, like you're talking, you can't drive with your wallet.
Oh, yeah.
But it's tough because, like you're saying, you won't be there if something drastic happens. But that can happen even if you're being hesitant, you know? You just never know.
I say that's the big difference between guys like myself that own and wrench and work on your own equipment, and 90% of these spoiled brats that just hop in race cars.
You know what though? I mean, that's what a Speedway should be about though. Is you started off in SBS, and now look what you're doing, and it's the natural progression. So it's really a cool thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you got $1 million or no dollars. It's great having
I had my instance, and this here you can edit out. I'd rather not, and I've told people this all the time. If I have a car, you're going to be a better driver if you know the ins and outs of your race car.
Sure.
Every single time. You know what I mean? My brother, if his car has been unloaded because I've been holding up the shop, but if he doesn't work on that car, it don't go to the damn racetrack. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's our father didn't teach us to not get dirty hands for a reason. So.
But if you ever have the chance just to be a helmet carrier, do it.
Jump right on it.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely.
These guys, I mean, I'm from where you came from.
Yeah.
I came from a freaking go-kart and jumped into a super, and it was in my garage, and I didn't have this much room. Mike, I had this much room where your car's sitting right here.
Yeah.
That's what we worked on.
Yeah.
I'd have to put my car in the hauler and bring it over to Hawkins' house to work on it.
Yeah.
You ran mod lights. Was that your first racing experience at all, or did you run quarter midgets and stuff like that?
We never really got into the quarter midget part of it, I guess. We bought Davey Tritech actually gave us a couple of quarter midgets that were just sitting around over the Hallbrook shop for years, and we just never really got them up and going. And then we had a couple of shows at the road course at the swing you used to run.
Oh yeah,
Back there, however many years ago
yeah,
that was.
in the pits.
Yep. So we had a couple of shows there. That was about it. Went to Avon one time. Ended up raining out.
Did you ever run down at Cherry Valley?
Nope.
You never ran down Cherry Valley. That's where I raced at Cherry Valley.
Yeah.
I ran a couple indoor shows at the fairgrounds
Yep.
with the carts, which was really cool. Just
We did 1 year. My dad threw me into a go-kart out there with our road course cart.
Yeah,
And,
I ran the same thing.
Yeah. And we had this lady. I don't remember what she was. This butchier type woman, and she came over to me, sweetheart, absolute sweetheart. She came over to me and she said, "You're a road course racer, aren't you?" And my dad said, "Yeah." And she's like, "I could tell, because I was coming off the corner and I was coming back down like you would, get prepped for the next corner and stuff." And everybody helped us out, but we were terrible. We had no idea. They had no right being there, really.
We went there with an MXK cart, and we were awful. And I stole Tim Barbeau's tires. He let me take his tires.
Oh yeah.
What a difference! What a difference! Yeah, he was running the indoor show with us.
Yeah.
He was in a different class, so he didn't run the Yamahas like I did.
Oh.
And so after he was done with his portion, first I took his back two tires, his rears, and went way better. And then I got his fronts, and we ended up flying, and we ended up third in our feature, where I got lapped in the heat race.
Yeah.
And in the feature, I ran right with the pros. There was a couple pros in my class, and ran right with them, and I finished third in the race. And I was like, holy moly! And they were right there with me. And tires, just because I changed the tires out.
Yeah.
Instantly, it was awesome.
Oh, it's crazy how much the tire game is.
And I laughed because I think Timmer ended up fifth in his division. And I ended up taking his tires and then I'm third mine, so he was like, "Hey, you know." But yeah, it was funny using his. He had slicks and I had dirt tires because before we'd run there, we ran dirt tires on the asphalt or the concrete in there.
Oh yeah.
And that seemed to be what everyone was doing. But then I ran there and Timmer was there. No, they were running these wide slicks and stuff, and man, the cars really hooked up.
But see how it goes. But I just don't get how. In classic, I think everybody's so focused on saving tires nowadays because of how much downforce they had with the old rear sections. I don't think that you got to save the tires as much. I mean, I think you got to definitely save tires, but
The cars are hooked. They're not spinning the tires and wasting.
Exactly. If you're spinning the tires and if you didn't have the downforce and stuff, it might be a different story. But
What would be a successful season for you now? Like, what would you consider a success?
I want to win. Without question, I want to win. I don't, if you're a race car driver and you don't go to the track thinking that you can or wanting to, you shouldn't be driving, in my opinion. So You know, I want to definitely get a victory underneath us. I want to pull off some wins in the 350 before the year's over, and I know we can do that, and be able to pull off some wins in the super and probably some good finish in the classic.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got high expectations for myself, so.
No, you gotta set them.
So yeah, I would think, don't want to rack up any more race cars. I don't want to rack up any more race cars. I want to, we're making changes, so I'm going to learn a lot. You know, of course, the time of the car. So that's it. Kind of adapt as a driver, evolve as a driver, I guess, and get her in victory lane. I don't know that I'd be disappointed if it didn't happen because I know what I'm going up against. You know what I mean? You're racing against some of the best open wheel drivers. And
Yeah, but it's how much satisfaction do you get, you know, when you have a great finish, knowing the competition and stuff that you're out there with, you know? It's got to be a great satisfaction, knowing how.
Sure. Well, we had that similar in the classic. Like I said, it was, you know, just to be, you know, the quick change from me hating the car the morning of to being able to run there, and actually we were fast enough that, you know, like Joey Payne drove underneath us there when the 78 was kind of holding us up and stuff, and I was able to drive right back underneath him, and Bellinger, he burned his right rear off, but you're passing Brandon Bellinger, who I think holds the track record still, you know, and the race that he, you know, typically is pretty good in, and then Gozik, granted he was in his backup car, but we were looking underneath him a few different times, and I joked with Snyder later on that night after I had a couple of cocktails in me, and I told him, I said, he was running such a line, I couldn't get by him for the longest time, and he kind of busted back on me, because this is Snyder's old car.
Yeah.
So he kind of busted on me because he was getting passed by his old car, so we were busting on each other a little bit on that one, you know, but yeah, it's cool to kind of nobody was really my childhood hero. My childhood hero was Bobby Magner and Dave Tritek, and the fact that I got Bobby Magner working on this with me is that's cooler than racing against them, in my opinion. So I tried getting Davey Tritek to come. I saw him walking across the pits one day. I said, hey, my old man and, you know, Bobby are over there working on cars. So it'd be just like the old days when you guys were all running for Holbrook. And he kind of laughed at me and pretty much told me to go, you know, where to put it. So
Well, someday you're going to be, you know, somebody's hero, and you know, maybe they'll be working on supers, their car, and saying, well, one of my heroes was Mike Bruce.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the bolt-on stuff, Mike, for one of these super modifieds, is it still a lot of it being produced in-house, or is it mass-produced? How is that working out? Just
about everything. It's probably the hardest part of super modified racing, realistically, in my opinion. So if it wasn't for my relationship with Hawks, Paulie Cloak has offered to do anything for me. Johnny Cloak has known me since I was a kid. So all these people would do just about anything, but as far as getting the rear wing done and stuff, you know, if I didn't have a relationship with Hawks, the car wouldn't have been together, plain and simple. You know, everything's just custom built. And that makes it difficult, and I think it actually shies people away from getting involved in super modified racing, because if you don't know somebody or you don't have enough finances to just pay somebody that does know, you're pretty much screwed.
Well, if there's no parts counter where you can go and you know, just grab like a modified, you know, they all run the same thing. This car is different. Joey doesn't build exactly the same cars.
Nope.
You know, like probably almost every car he's got out there.
The only car that is the same as this one is the Canadian.
Now, Mike, do you build all your own body panels?
Yeah, yep. So when we first started with the Mount Light, that was just something that my father kind of took up on and learned, because that's what we needed to do to be able to afford to be able to race. Really, was, you know, we spent as much time and effort as we could, you know, building the stuff ourselves to save the money. And I never minded it until I did my first SBS body. I did this 04 car, and there's just so much that goes into those cars to build a body on. It's crazy. That one took me a lot longer than I wanted to. Building these cars on the bodies on the Supers are fairly easy, realistically. You just keep all your tolerances tight, and everything's flat, you know, every time it runs. So I was talking with Hawksby one night about it, and he said it's too bad you didn't build one when they had all the chutes and the side panels and everything like that, because I guess they were quite the different animal, you know, building those ones. But
Oh yeah, lots of rivets.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So these ones here are fairly easy, and I finally, just last year, I started using the Zeus hole finders.
Yeah.
The little tools that pushed in there and put a little dimple on it, and that's probably my favorite tool in the whole world. Now that I know that they're something. Dan Denny told me about them, and I tried making one. I welded onto a Zeus tab, and I tried grinding it, and it was the worst thing ever. I didn't know Terry had them down there for a few bucks a piece, you know.
Yeah.
So.
How are you gonna learn though? You never know until somebody tells
Oh
you.
yeah, until somebody else teaches it to you. Yep.
I had Mark Cooper of Cooper Custom Canvas there.
Yep.
I had him building the body for my kid's race car, and he was the one that introduced me to the Clecos that hold everything together.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, those are a lifesaver.
So if we can hear you under there,
Yeah.
what's been the biggest surprise stepping up into a super modified from the SBS?
Biggest surprise. I don't know. I didn't. When I first hammered down on it, when I first fired up the car, the very first time I pulled in, Carly she asked me, she's like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just felt natural. I guess it just felt normal to me." So even hammering down the straightaways, there's definitely a lot more speed to them, obviously. But I thought that it was going to be a little bit. The cars are hooked up, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the rubbers and the setups and everything like that. The cars are all pretty well hooked up. So where I thought it was going to be a little more out of control, it wasn't.
One thing I learned and was coached on when I first started driving them, because I came from go-karts, so it wasn't, I didn't have an SBS or a 350 Super. I went from a 100cc sprint kart right into super modifieds.
Sure.
And I had an old guy, Joe Pino, used to race in Oswego, my father's good friend. And he just got on me, he's like, listen, over the years I'd listened to him talk and stuff, and he's just like, listen, keep the weight on the right side of the car.
Yeah.
You know, just if you're doing anything, scrubbing your tires, always keep the weight out there. Don't let the weight transfer to the left rear and turn right, you know? Well, Doug Kells for Race Day Productions, and we're going to wrap it up here tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed it. It's something different. You get to come in, see what a driver does week to week, and Mike will show you, and he's talked much about it, and we appreciate it. So, Mike, good luck tomorrow night, man. We'll be pulling for you to get in victory lane.
Appreciate you guys.
Awesome.